Hi there, this is Katie Groves, and this is going to be a really raw and difficult and painful video for me and my system. It's a difficult subject I'm about to try to take on, so I just hope that people in the comment section are forgiving if they don't like any of the things that I've said. I have recently spent some time researching the red pill movement, reading not only their literature and similar literature, but looking at the forums for former members of the online groups and people who've come to see it as a cult. For anyone who doesn't know, the red pill, it's a reference to the Matrix and is an extremely male-centric, misogynistic way of viewing women and relationships. It involves a lot of dating advice that promotes sexual abuse and assault and the dehumanization of women. And one might think that only men are involved in this, but no, there are women also who have quote-unquote taken the red pill and are now advocates. And it was actually watching the video of one of these such women last night that got me thinking about all of this on a level that has compelled me to make this video now. I am a survivor of child sex trafficking. I don't really like the term sex trafficking because it implies that sex was happening, but I don't know a better way to say it. Perhaps child rape trafficking or rape slavery would be better use of terminology. Without feminism, I would not be here. Without feminism, I would be actively perpetrating and simultaneously taking unfathomable abuse. Monarch programming sought to split me into two sides, one toxically masculine and one toxically feminine. A toxically feminine victim and a toxically masculine perpetrator. These were dissociative parts, dissociative systems of parts, really, as I'm polyfragmented. And the purpose was so that I could be used both as a rape toy who wouldn't fight back and as a vicious predator who would abuse and exploit others. And that both these sides wouldn't know about each other. And not only that, but they're very conflicting, opposing viewpoints would cause them such overwhelming cognitive dissonance upon coming in contact with each other that they would stay radically separate and terrified of ever becoming one. Now, I've overcome a lot of this. Not all of it, but a lot of this. I am not, to my knowledge, being victimized or victimizing others in the ways that I was before. But I suffer terribly with the effects of all this abuse. And it has led me to have what may be a kind of unique perspective on feminism, masculinity, femininity, and gender identity. In this video, I'm going to try to explain how I see things, and this is me, the part of the system that I'm speaking from. So please note that there are many dissociative parts of me who see things differently than this, but I think that my perspective may be the most holistic and most centered, the closest to our core self of any part that is capable of speaking about it now. So first I want to say that I do not see sex, gender, and gender expression as the same things. I do not believe that gender, in its most raw elemental form of the divine masculine and feminine elements, is a social construct. However, I believe that a lot of what people call gender identity is that as soon as you put the word identity into things, you're talking about the ego. And the ego is a product of social conditioning. That being said, I think there's a way, though, to relate to primordial aspects of masculinity and femininity in oneself and speak about it that comes from a deeper place of self-awareness than the ego. So like the big I rather than the little I, as in the letter. What I mean by this is I think that there are souls, that we have spirits, that we are spirits, really, that carry leanings towards certain expressions. The idea would be to say one has a very feminine soul or a very masculine soul or a very androgynous soul. That people's spirits are somewhere on a continuum of elemental masculine or feminine expression. And so I think that a lot of what you see when a person says they're transgender is a person's spirit that leans towards a divine element of gender that is in conflict with their physical body. And I think that gender dysphoria itself, which I experience, is really hard to explain, and it's hard for me to intellectually understand. It just kind of is. But I definitely experience myself in the middle. And I experience myself in the middle in a way that conflicts with having a female body. So for me, experience of gender and my physical sex are not compatible. That being said, I've also found that coming deeply in contact with the divine feminine energy, and specifically with my connection to the earth, has helped me to accept my female body more, in that I'm no longer suffering as acutely with it. I've also found that letting go of a tremendous amount of gender norms conditioned by me in society and expectations of society has helped me to let go of a lot of distress. So I think there's a lot of different issues involved here. And that it's important to not see them all as truly separate from each other, but I think it's been very important for me to make these kinds of distinctions. What experience of my gender has been socially constructed, and what experience is rooted in a spiritual leaning towards certain elements that I do not find my body to be compatible with. And again, it's really hard to explain for me how that works with the gender dysphoria. I really don't know how to explain it. It's just something that I feel, and it's something that I felt so strongly that it's persisted over many years, my entire life, and has compelled me to speak out about it and set boundaries about it for my own well-being. So, this all being said, I think that feminism is here to protect the balance of masculine and feminine energies. Feminism, to me, at its core, is self-love. And it isn't just self-love that female-bodied people can have, that women can have, or that femmes can have. It's a self-love that everyone can have. And it specifically takes the form of honoring the balance of masculine and feminine energies within one's spirit and honoring one's personal boundaries. Toxic femininity is inherently anti-feminist. Rejecting the masculine elements of oneself and becoming a doormat is not feminine self-love. One of the things that breaks my heart is women who have taken on the kind of red pill subcultures, who are trying to find their place in the manosphere, so to speak. I'm sure with their internalized misogyny, they don't consider themselves to be a part of the manosphere. But those who've taken those ideologies on and are interacting with those men in any way other than to challenge them or try to empathize with them from a healthier perspective. Women from first world countries who think that they don't need feminism do not understand what feminism has done for them. Unless they are women who want to actually live in the situation that I grew up in which they were being kept awake 22 hours a day, raped and tortured, and used as a slave.